Sacco, you talked about having gone to trade school and learning electricity. When we bought our house in the South End in 1965, we had work done. And the people who laid our hardwood floor were police and fire people, including Detective Chenette.
Yeah, I remember Chenette, yeah. I do know.
Things have changed, as you point out, since then. What have been the good things and the bad things about the changes in the police since then?
Well, I think the good things about the changes, well, you have a police department today, the younger policemen today are very articulate. A lot of them are college trained, you know, they've been to college. They're very smart, they're very computer savvy, you know. But we became police, we were just looking for a steady job, you know. You know what I mean? We had no big ideals. All you wanted was steady pay, you know, that type of thing. We had police, when I first became a police, we had policemen, some of them could hardly speak English, some of them, you know what I mean? They had a hard time reading and writing, even, you know? And, but today you have a young, energetic, kind of motivated police department. A lot of them are young. I think the average, what's the average age now, Cap? The kids today, but what's the average age, like about 28 or something?
Right around there. Our station down District 4 is very young.
Yeah, they're like around 24, 25. I mean, these kids are young and they're full of, you know, when I became a policeman, the average age of the policeman when I became a cop, but the average age was like 52 or something. You know, it was a much older police department. Today it's much younger. Yeah, and much better educated, you know, more formal education. I put it to you that way, so they're kind of more with it, you know, when I became a policeman. But in the old days, we had a bigger police, with larger. There was, I think there was more contact with the public, that the police officers knew everybody. You know, it was a different thing. I remember if you had a steady route, if you were on a steady route, like they call a steady walking route anywhere, the sergeant would pull up to you, you know, sergeant, the patrol sergeant, and he'd point to an automobile, and he'd say, "Who owns that car?" You had to know who owned it. You couldn't say, "Geez, I don't know." So he said, "Well, if you don't know who owns it, what's it doing here? Is it a stolen car, or would it be some burglar?" You know, he'd be saying, "What?" So you had to know because he said, "How long have you been on this road, kid? You've been here for 3 months, you don't know who owns that car?" I mean, they were like that, you know, you had to know who lived in a house, even. You'd say, "Who lives in the first floor of that house over there?" Or that Mrs. Jones lives there, or Mr. Smith lives up on the second floor. You say, "You're a good cop," you know. You had to know these things. You had to know all the people on your road, most of the people, the business people, you had to know who did what, where, why, and when. You had to be, you were the eyes and ears of the policeman. You didn't have a walkie-talkie, you had to walk around with a box key, you know. There was no, we didn't have the kind of modern type of electronics, so to speak. They have what? They have computers in the cruisers, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had the cruiser car that had no air conditioning, no nothing. You know, it just, that was it. They used to carry shotguns in the cruiser. That's the only thing. And then they did away with them because the policemen, when they took the shotguns back to the station house, when they're taking out the rounds, a lot of times the shell would go off. District 13, we had holes in the ceiling. So they said, "That's the end of that. Can't have nothing like that anymore." But you know, it was the times were different. You know, they were very different than today. I think they're better today, truthfully. I think you got a quick, young, energetic police department. You know, it's motivated. You know, you can see it in the crime rate. It's not. I don't think it's nearly as bad as it used to be years ago. You know, you were caught when I first come down here. We had 2. How many wagons they got down here before now?
We just have the one for each shift.
Yeah, the 1 wagon each shift.
Yeah.
When I came here, we had 2 wagons. There was one that used to be the regular wagon that did, you know, pick up prisoners and take, you know, and the ambulance with all that. And the other one just went around picking up the undomiciled. We had 1 wagon. They called it the Blue Goose. It was a big truck. you know, I don't know if you ever saw pictures of it, it was an old, like a big Chevy truck, you know, it was a big, and it had an open back, there was no door on it or nothing. And we used to cram, you know, you used to pick up the undomiciled people, you had to like, almost like pack them in, get as many in as you can.
And take them where?
We used to take them down, we used to take them
Under the
down,
bridge.
lock them up, they didn't take them to Pine Street. See, drunkenness was a crime.
That's right.
It was considered a crime to be drunk. So you were actually charging them with the crime of drunkenness. You know what I mean? And then you had to go to court the next day with them all and testify to their sobriety. You know, you had to, you know, and it was like a litany, you know what I mean? The poor guy would stand up, he'd say, yes, Your Honor, I saw him, he'd breath smell of alcohol, he was unsteady on his feet. All right, go, next, breath smell of alcohol, steady on his feet. You've been doing this for like 25 minutes, the judge go, okay, okay. If you recognize a guy that was, then we, a lot of them, you know, in the wintertime, they used to want to get locked up. There was no Pine Street and all that. They used to want to get locked up just to get off the street. And they wanted to go to Deer Island. Because Deer Island, you know, they used to have, it was like a farm. And they used to produce all their own crops. Corn, vegetables, like a big truck farm, believe it or not. And they had cow, they had cattle, they used to get milk, fresh milk, and the prisoners, they used to eat good there. They used to get eggs. I mean, when they ate, you know, they used to love to go there, you know what I mean, even though it was a jail. And in the wintertime, a lot of them, you know, they'd take a rock and break a window. And then they just stand there. You pull up and you say, I just broke the window. Man, lock me up, you know. So one day when I was at District 13, it was a freezing cold, it was a bitter, for 3 days, the weather was very bad, it was very bitter cold. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, I went into Ernie's Diner, it used to be at Forest Hills. And when all the bars emptied, all the people would head for Ernie's Diner, you know, it was like they're packed with people getting their bacon and eggs. And I went in there to get a cup of coffee, and there was one of those, you know, street people. You know, he happened to be in there, and he says to me, he goes, he yells loud, he goes, hey, Four Eyes. He called me Four Eyes, you know, with the glasses. So I ignored him, you know. He says, hey, Four Eyes, you stupid cop. And he starts, you know, calling me names, and he's swearing at me. And of course, the people in there, they say, oh my God, this cop's going to kill that guy. You know, because he's swearing at me and everything. He's calling me names. So I sat there, paid no attention. I had my coffee, and I get up. And I walked over and I says, I don't care what you call me, I am not going to lock you up. And I walked out the door and I said, you son of a bitch! I said, I'm not going to lock you up. But that's what we used to do here before. We had a lot of people, they had to lock them up. It was a big problem, you know. It was, like I said, the South End was a very different place then. A lot of lodging houses, rooming houses, there's a lot of prostitution. I mean, it was it still this bad prostitution? Why, I don't know, it was really, you remember when you were here as a young cop.
I came in 1979.
Yeah.
I learned all my bad habits from you.
Right. There used to be, no, believe it or not, people don't realize this. One time we got inundated. The South End area in particular, and over in the Back Bay on Boylston Street was even another bad, we got really inundated. We began to notice prostitutes were coming in here. But they were coming from out of town. They were coming from Maine, they were coming from New York, they were coming from Pennsylvania. They were coming, we couldn't understand where all the, what happened was, the hotel people, hotels, were complaining that they were losing a lot of convention business. Because in those days, the conventioneers, people going on these conventions, were almost all men. And of course, you know what men do when they're away from home. They like to party. And Boston had a reputation that it was not a party city. It was like, you know, they roll the sidewalks up, the bars don't stay open till 5 in the morning, and they were losing a lot of, because a lot of conventions said, well, to the hotels, well, why should we come to Boston? Well, we can go to New Orleans and raise hell and find women and all that. So the word get out to the courts they were treating prostitution like, just give them a fine, $25 fine. All right, you're locked up for prostitution, $25 fine. But it was like paying a fee to be a prostitute. So the word went out, and the city got swamped, the South End in particular it got real bad here for a while. But then they had to finally, so many people complained about it, they had to clean it up.